Hey, a quick update on the Edgeguard configuration tool. If some of you remember, I said, hey, we're going to be getting adapters in really soon, but like the full vision of the configuration tool, like fully styled and beautiful, won't be done by then. So let me just get a simple, really bare metal, really not pretty tool up so that at least when everyone gets their Edgeguards, they'll be able to like make a configuration, test to see if it works, test the adapter in something that feels comfortable. So that's what I've been like speed running through. So right now, this is the tool. I've gotten keys down, so like pushing a key brings up like that key in the stack. Right now there's no action setting. Right now it's just always setting it to the A button. But like in theory you'd hit W and then from here you'd like make it so that it's like left stick up all the way and then maybe D, left stick right all the way, and then you'd hit this add mapping button, which fun fact is doing stuff in the background. It is actually adding like the A button on the controller to the D key. It's just not visually being printed out yet. And in the future, when you do hit that, it's going to like add like a list down here of like W is this, D is this. You can click and delete them. I also have multiple keys, which is more interesting, I think. What's going to happen, I've mentioned this before, is that like in theory, if you push up and then you push right, you assume that it would do a 45-degree angle or like an upright angle, and like you need to actually explicitly define this. I've talked about this in the Discord, but basically this is kind of what's happening here. When you push W and D, you can then specify here that like, hey, it's going to be an upright motion on the left stick. You'll notice that this arrow is kind of pointing both ways, and the idea behind this is that in theory we want to give you like maximum customizability. So like if for some reason you were like, hey, when I'm holding up and then I push D, maybe you don't want it to go upright, maybe you want it to go like slightly to the right of up for some reason. I don't know why you would, but let's just say that's your goal here. You can then specify like, hey, W followed exactly by D will be like a slightly to the right and up. Whereas maybe then you go and define D and then W differently. Maybe when you're holding D and going fully right, you want W to slightly go up. So like it's like not a 90-degree, but maybe like an 80-degree. Again, don't know why, but people might come up with really creative control schemes, and this will let them specify exactly how they want that to happen. Again, this is more of an advanced thing. For most users, I feel, when you come to this tool and you're using it, you're going to just probably have it on here, right? Like if I hit W and D, it's going to be the angle I expect. If I hit Shift W D, it doesn't even matter what order these happen in, right? Because maybe you hit W and D, you know that for a fact, if you hit Shift at the beginning or the end, you probably maybe wanted like a walking modifier. So like you'd be able to specify that without having to manually go say, okay, W and then Shift and D and Shift W and D, and you know, having to go through every single permeation. These arrows will help allow you to get really nitty gritty. But also for most people, you're just going to be hitting the 3 keys, 4 keys you want, and then just letting it do the rest in the background. So that's where I'm at so far. Next piece is finishing this, where you can actually change it to like the thing on the controller you want to change, and then finally displaying them down here at the bottom section, what you've got. And then finally the harder part, which is sending that data over to the Edgeguard adapter itself for it to be saved and loaded. So that's the status update.